Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the hashtag TFR Motivation Monday Zoom. We are Dr. Dondi and Marcy Nettles.
Hi,
we
guys.
are your co-hosts tonight, and we have a special edition. Unbelievable information to get to tonight. We have a special guest in the waiting. And this is we had to move heaven and earth to get this gentleman on our call tonight because
really.
he is a super, well, we just asked.
That's all we had to do.
All we had to do was ask, and he
way.
said yes. That's how awesome this guy is. He was super gracious, but we need to tell you, this is all for you. Yeah. This is information that's very timely. It's very compelling, and you guys will give you time to take notes. Go get something to take notes because you do not want to miss a single second of this broadcast tonight.
Yeah, so before we hop right into the meat of this call, we want to make sure that you know that we will be doing the announcements at the end of this amazing presentation. But I know you're going to want to know where you can go to watch this again. So this will be recorded, as you know, and it will be uploaded to the Team Freedom Reigns YouTube channel. So make sure that you go to YouTube, find Team Freedom Reigns, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notifications when we upload new content. But this call will be up there shortly after we're done tonight.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and let's move to this next slide.
Yes.
Here.
So if you didn't know already who our special guest was, it is none other than Dr. Brian Dixon, the amazing people behind the future of our product line here at LifeVantage. We are incredibly blessed and honored to have him as our special guest. And before we turn it over to him, let me just share with you a little bit about who we're talking about here. Dr. Brian Dixon earned his PhD in molecular and cellular biology from Oregon State University in affiliation with the Linus Pauling Institute. His research focused on the underlying biochemical mechanisms of the aging process. Dr. Dixon went on to do his postdoctoral work at the Linus Pauling Institute, evaluating the aging process of young and elderly adults. He has authored scientific peer-reviewed papers on topics such as cancer, antioxidants, cellular signaling, gene regulation, stress coping mechanisms, weight management, sports nutrition, recovery after exercise, inflammation, immunity, the aging process, NRF2 activation, glutathione, vitamin D, plant polyphenols, and other phytonutrients. I had to take a deep breath on that one. Dr. Dixon has authored a book chapter examining the role of dietary antioxidants and cardiovascular disease in the elderly. Dr. Dixon has been in the nutritional industry for over 12 years and has had many roles from managing human clinical research, product innovation, product development, health education, public speaking, social media, and content marketing. As a result of these efforts, he has been a co-inventor on no fewer than 12 filed patents relating to the nutritional industry. And I saved the best for last. This is Dr. Dixon in his own words explaining to you why he's here at LifeVantage. And it says, nutrition has always been close to my heart. I've seen firsthand the power of proper nutrition and key nutrients in helping to provide optimal health. The reason I'm so excited to be part of LifeVantage scientific team is for one reason and one reason only: their unyielding and uncompromising commitment to creating effective science-based health products. Everybody, please help Marcy and I welcome Dr. Brian Dixon, our amazing vice president of everything we have to do with our products here at LifeVantage. Dr. Dixon, please take it over, my friend.
And thank you so much for saying yes. We appreciate you.
It's absolutely my pleasure to be with you both. You know how much admiration I have for you guys. So it's an honor to be with everyone tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Seriously.
You know, so before you just roll right into it, and you should be able to share your screen. First of all, you know, Dondi and I had the pleasure of being at the Elite Retreat just a couple weeks ago with you when you went over this presentation, and our minds were blown.
Seriously.
And you shared things with us that we had never heard before. And so we knew that we had to get you in front of as many people as possible, especially with this major announcement coming tomorrow about this product. I think education goes a long way, and you are the best at that. So please share with us all of that knowledge you have in your head. Thank you.
You're so grateful. And maybe before I jump into it and talk about LifeVantage's worst kept secret, I do want to say I'm going to get a little scientific tonight, and I don't want people to think that they have to know all of this hard science that's behind everything. So I kind of like to couch things in little scientific stories. But I really wanted to kind of set the tone that way to give everyone the confidence that this product is a science-based product. So don't feel like you have to have a PhD or, be a doctor like Dr. Nettles is, but just sit back and enjoy the presentation, take in and learn what you will, but you don't have to know any of this to be able to sell it. The brand and marketing team are putting together some amazing consumer-facing materials that are going to go live tomorrow at 6 p.m. in conjunction with the actual announcement. So you leverage those materials to talk to potential customers and distributors about the product. But what I want to talk about tonight is, like I said, LifeVantage's worst kept secret. We're going to be launching tomorrow our LifeVantage Daily Wellness. And if you haven't heard what it is, just simply put, it's a powdered drink mix. So it's in a similar format to our Axio nootropic beverages. So a nice powder format that you can scoop into your water every morning, or actually whenever it's convenient for you. So it's a wonderful acai elderflower flavor. You can make it as strong or as dilute as you like it. And we chose this flavor on purpose because it is an international flavor. And we wanted to try to appease as many, especially international palates as possible. But all the feedback we've heard is that it's just absolutely wonderful. And I couldn't be more proud of this product. A couple other really important points is that this is meant to be consumed daily. So it's a proactive approach to your health and not a reactive approach to your health. A lot of competitor products on the market are meant to be taken when you first feel that tickle in your throat. And that's also why you're going to see some different levels of nutrients in this product than you might on some of those competitor products, if they're even competitor products. And so, yeah, this is meant to support not just your immunity, but also your overall health. And we're going to talk about that, especially towards the end. But how I want to couch the conversation today is really centered around our immune system. So obviously, as you can imagine, LifeVantage Daily Wellness is meant to support our immune system. So let's talk about what it is, how it works, and what we can do to support it. So if you've ever seen me talk, I like to give definitions. Our immune system is defined as this coordinated system of cells, proteins, and chemical signals that's designed to keep us as healthy as possible. But what's also really underappreciated about our immune system are all the other functions that the immune system plays. It's not just in defense, if you will. One of its major functions that we couldn't survive without is to help coordinate cellular tissue and cellular turnover and regeneration. So an example I like to give is if we get a cut on our finger, that wound healing process requires the immune system. So first, the immune system sends a bunch of cells to that site of damage, and it starts to clean up all the mess, all those damaged cells that might be there. So first, it has to mop that up, and it's a very stepwise and organized process to help that process occur. And it's once all of that's happened that the skin cells surrounding that cut can start to grow and divide and ultimately heal that wound. But where I'm going to focus most of the talk today is how we generally think about our immune system, and that is helping to keep us as healthy. Now, there are three major parts of our immune system. And forgive me, these are a little jargony, but the first is known as your innate immune system. So in my mind, I like to think of our innate immune system as being this ancient part of our immune system. And we'll get into a little more detail in just a minute. But then we also have this really much more advanced part of our immune system, and that's our adaptive, or another name for it is our acquired immune system. And so a good analogy I like to talk about there is chicken pox. I don't know how everyone's parents were when they were kids, but I remember going to chicken pox parties so that we would get chicken pox, get it out of the way when we were young, hoping that we wouldn't get it when it can be much worse when we're older. But you only tend to get chicken pox once in your life, and that's because of this adaptive or acquired immunity that we have. But then there's a third, and I would say very much overlooked aspect of our immune system. And does anyone know what that might be? You might be surprised because it's going to be staring you right back in the face. It's what we call the barrier system. So it's our skin, our skin is our primary defense against the outside world. So we want to keep our skin as healthy as possible, but not just the skin that we can see on our hands and feet, but we also effectively have a layer of skin that lines this tube that runs from our mouth to the other end, right? Our digestive system. So those are effectively skin cells. And if you think about it, they're exposed to all the things that we're eating and to some extent to what we're breathing as well. So we need to keep that part of our barrier system as healthy as possible. So talking about maintaining a healthy gut is incredibly important for our immune system as well as our skin. So those are the three major parts of our immune system, and they do all work together. So think about this, right? We have our skin that is this primary layer of defense. The more stuff we can keep out, the less taxing our immune system is actually going to be. So we want to keep that immune system as absolute, that part of our immune system as absolutely healthy as possible. But if you can think about when I talked about getting that little cut on your finger, it can be a lot like opening the door. But our bodies are incredibly intelligent. And in fact, we have a whole bunch of immune cells that are waiting at the ready right below these layers of our skin. So here are, and believe it or not, this is actually a simplified schematic, but these are a number of the different cells that make up our immune system. And I'm not going to go through here in any great detail, but the point I want to make with this slide is that all the different cells of our immune system originate from one single stem cell. Okay, so early on in that stem cell's life, when it starts to divide, that cell has to make a decision, what kind of immune cell do I want to become? And it turns out this is an incredibly complex process, but it's also incredibly important to help maintain that balance that we're looking for in a healthy immune response. And this process scientifically is known as differentiation. And this is going to become important when we start to talk about the individual ingredients of daily wellness. So remember, I was talking about how these different parts of our immune system actually do communicate with each other. So remember that definition. This is a highly coordinated process. So over there on the left side of the slide, you see all those different fancy scientific names of these various immune cells of our innate immunity. And over on the right, we have the cells of our adaptive immunity. But then you see in this kind of modified Venn diagram, there's some cells that can kind of go back and forth between these two different immune systems and help coordinate whatever it might be the immune system needs to do. So remember I said the innate immune system is really kind of this archaic part of our immune system. And, you know, a really grandiose analogy I like to make is it's very similar to a nuclear explosion. So when a nuclear explosion goes off, right, everything around it is going to be affected. And so many of the cells of our innate immune system work this same way. They're just indiscriminately putting things out there that can work on all different types of cells, including themselves and even our own cells and tissues. So this isn't necessarily always the best response that we want to have, but it is still a necessary and essential part of our immune system. But then when we get into the adaptive immune system, these cells are very, very pinpoint in what they're targeting. And I like to have the analogy here that they're like kind of the snipers of the immune cells. So their jobs are very precise, very targeted, and very deliberate. So here we come back to that definition. Now, in that definition, we have this chemical signaling. So I know at LifeVantage, we love to talk about cell signaling and all the amazing things that we can do around initiating cell signaling pathways inside of our body. And the exact same process is occurring in these immune cells. And in fact, there are some pretty clever things that we can do through nutrigenomics and these chemical signaling pathways that can help support our immune system. So let's talk about some of this chemical signaling that goes on in our immune system. So we see this throughout nature, right? Things following chemical trails to get things done that they need to get done, right? For an example, we have here ants. How do they know how to follow these pheromone trails to get food, to get water, or to even get back to the nest, right? These ants are very uniquely equipped to be able to sense that chemical signal. I have a pretty obscure degree in entomology, so maybe not many people know this, but pheromones play a huge role in the insect world. And so in this analogy, we have a moth or a butterfly that will go high on a branch somewhere, and she'll start to flutter her wings and release pheromones. And those pheromones kind of cloud out over a distance, and then a male moth is very uniquely equipped to detect these pheromone signals, and he will start working his way along that pheromone cloud until he finds that female butterfly, and they make little baby butterflies. But this also happens in our immune system. So here, what these researchers were trying to do was illustrate how these immune cells can follow these chemical signals. So what they've done here is taken a bunch of immune cells, put them on a microscope slide, and then drop just a little microscopic worm in the middle. And I'm going to play just a short video, but where I kind of want to draw your attention to is that kind of bottom curve of the worm. And then at the very, very bottom, you'll see an immune cell or two start to attach there. And then you'll see just this massive cloud of immune cells flock to that same site. So if you've never seen how your immune system works, here's a little glimpse to what's going on. Isn't that pretty cool? So once they realize that that worm shouldn't be there, they attach, they are releasing their chemical signals, and that's attracting even more immune cells to the site. So here's another example of what some of our immune cells are doing. So on this microscope slide, what they've done is basically take a drop of blood, the kind of weird shaped, almost bell-shaped cell that's kind of off to the left, upper left-hand corner. That's one of our white blood cells. The really kind of darker round circles on this microscope slide are red blood cells. And then just below that little bell-shaped cell is a little bacteria that they've put on there. And that bacteria is going to wiggle around this microscope slide. But what I want you to see is this immune cell can actually smell that bacteria and will follow it around the microscope slide until it eventually engulfs it and does what immune cells do. Look, it'll even completely change directions. And then it engulfs it. And then you'll see up towards the top, a little kind of fluttering of that dark spot. That's when that immune cell actually does that bacteria in. So pretty cool. And that's what's going on inside of our bodies. I mean, our immune system is absolutely fascinating. So again, I apologize for another very complex scientific slide, but the cells of our immune system, and especially our innate immune system, have some really interesting biochemistry that goes on. You know, we always think of free radicals and oxidants as being these terrible things that we don't want around. But again, when we're talking about free radicals and oxidants, what we're talking about is having everything in a nice, healthy balance. The point I want to make on this slide is really everywhere that you see a little dot is a free radical that's being made by some of this biochemistry of these immune cells. And when I use that analogy of a nuclear explosion, it's actually not too far off, because many of these compounds are also produced during a nuclear reaction or a nuclear explosion. But if I can draw your attention to the lower left-hand side of the screen here, in some of these compounds that are produced, you're actually going to recognize some of them, whether or not you recognize their chemical name. So on the bottom there, we have HOSCN. And any molecule that has a CN in it, does anyone know what that stands for? It's cyanide. And I think we all know how detrimental cyanide can be. Right above that, we have H2O2. If you can remember your basic high school chemistry, you'll remember that that's hydrogen peroxide. And then if we go straight to the left of hydrogen peroxide, we have that compound HOCl. So you may not be as familiar with that compound, but it's called hypochlorous acid, but it's also known as everyday bleach. So what do we put on wounds when we cut ourselves? Hydrogen peroxide. What do we clean countertops with? Bleach, right? So these same compounds are made by immune cells, and it's incredibly fascinating. And we're going to talk about why antioxidant support is so important for our own cells and even our immune cells. And if you can even notice right over there, kind of by that hydrogen peroxide, that H2O2, does anyone recognize that enzyme? SOD, or superoxide dismutase. So these immune cells even have SOD to help protect themselves. So also one reason why we're going to be bundling Daily Wellness with Protandim NRF2 Synergizer. But the important thing about our immune system is that it really can be turned on when we need it and then turned off when we don't. But the story isn't quite that simple. So what we're looking for is a nice, healthy inflammatory response. So in reality, our immune system is always just a little bit on, and it's always just a little bit off. And then sometimes that balance will shift just a little bit in times of need or non-need. And so that's really what we're talking about with LifeVantage Daily Wellness, and why we're saying it's a proactive approach to our immune support. So when we're talking about all the different things we can do to help support our immune system, we need to come back and think about those three different parts of our immune system, right? That barrier function, or our skin and gut health, our innate immune system, and our adaptive or acquired immune system. And it turns out there's a number of nutrients that we can leverage to help support each one of these three components. So when we're talking about maintaining that healthy and balanced immune response, what we want to do is support that gut and skin health. Kind of like I alluded to earlier, we also want to make sure we have some antioxidants around to help support not just the immune cells, but also our own host cells. Because remember, those innate cells, the way that they're working is really, really non-discriminate. And an analogy I like here is one of exercise. And I promise you guys have all experienced this. If you think about maybe the last time you exercised and exercised, pretty vigorously, were you more sore the first day after you exercised or the second day after you exercised? And I think everybody would agree it's the second day after we exercise that you're the most sore. And the reason for that is because of an immune response that occurs. So if you think about what's happening when we exercise, we're making little microscopic tears inside of our muscles. And when we do that, a little bit of that cellular contents leaks out. And it turns out that leaking muscle is one of the things that our immune cell can effectively smell. It's one of those chemical signals. So when we start tearing these muscles, it triggers an immune response. And so immune cells go to the site of that damaged tissue, and they think the muscle cells are under some sort of attack. So they start doing what immune cells do, but because those compounds are so indiscriminate, it goes on to further damage the muscle cell. And that's why we are more sore the second day than the first day of exercise. And what else is well documented in the literature is that you can attenuate or lower that response by putting antioxidants into the system and helping alleviate that kind of secondary tissue damage that can occur. And then the last thing when it comes to maintaining a healthy and balanced immune response is, of course, we want to support the cells of our immune system, their growth, their differentiation, right? The process, that decision-making process of what type of immune cell do I need to become. Their activation. So a lot of immune cells are sitting there quiet, and we want to bring them to a heightened state. Okay. And then lastly is their efficiency. So we want to support those biochemical pathways so that those immune cells can do what they need to do. So let's talk about the ingredients that are found in LifeVantage Daily Wellness. And it turns out that there are 5. And what you are going to be seeing in a lot of the marketing materials that are be coming out is a tagline of 5 to thrive. So a really easy way to remember that there's 5 ingredients in the product. So let's talk about each of these. I like to break them down into 2 different categories. And the first is essential vitamins and minerals. And I do want to say here quickly that that word essential does have a very profound definition in biology. That word essential means that if we do not get these vitamins or minerals from our diet or our nutritional supplement, we will die. So we need to get these vitamins and minerals to live as healthy of a life as possible. So let's start with the first one, at vitamin C. It's in there at 150 milligrams. And one of its jobs is as an antioxidant. It turns out a number of our immune cells very much concentrate vitamin C inside of themselves. They have these vitamin C transporters that pull the vitamin C out of our blood, and it concentrates it inside of these immune cells. So that's important because these immune cells, like I mentioned, are also susceptible to the very things that they're making. And in fact, immune cells can concentrate vitamin C somewhere between 100 to 1,000 times higher than what's circulating through our blood. So very clear biological evidence that immune cells want to have vitamin C inside of them. It's also helping that biochemistry along and making all of those compounds that we need those immune cells to work. But very importantly, vitamin C is also essential for cell division, differentiation, or that decision-making process. And then it's also going to support especially our skin health through its requirement in collagen formation, or that glue that holds all of our cells together. The second vitamin is vitamin D3, but vitamin D is a very interesting compound. It's not acting like a traditional vitamin is. Usually vitamins are utilized in various biological or metabolic processes inside of the cell. They're consumed, used up, and then gotten rid of. Vitamin D is actually acting more like a hormone, and it's been shown to regulate over 2,000 different genes inside of our cells, right? 2,000 genes of that 30 to 40,000 genes that we have inside of our genome. So a very significant percentage of our genome is regulated by vitamin D, and many of those are directly involved in the immune response. Vitamin D3, through its activity in regulating these genes, is going to support both our innate and adaptive immune cells. So it's really arming them to do what they need to do. And then zinc, another very interesting mineral or metal, depending on how you want to think about it. But again, it's going to be working as an antioxidant. And zinc, like I mentioned, is a very interesting atom. It can work as a direct antioxidant, so like we think about vitamin C, but it can also work as an indirect antioxidant, and especially in its role in SOD, or superoxide dismutase. It's an essential mineral that enzyme needs so that it can have its antioxidant power or properties. Zinc has also been shown to support the innate, adaptive, and barrier cell functions of all 3 of those parts of our immune system. Zinc has just such diverse roles in cellular growth, division, differentiation, et cetera, et cetera. Zinc is just critical for a nice, healthy immune response. The last 2 compounds I like to break down into what I call nutritional extracts. And the first is elderberry. And we have elderberry in this product at 200 milligrams. And another very interesting compound that has been used for centuries to really work on anything under the sun, but especially for immune support. It provides a number of vitamins and minerals, and we talked about how important those are. It provides antioxidants like vitamin C and others antioxidant and non-antioxidant phytonutrients that can be working nutrigenomically. And then a really interesting compound that elderberry has in it that it's really rich in is a compound called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins have just an amazing support role in a healthy immune response. And if maybe you're a little bit of a nerd like me, I'd encourage you to go read up just a little bit on what exactly anthocyanins do as it relates to our immune system. But really, the hero ingredient for daily wellness is a whole yeast ferment. The more I read about this compound, the more I absolutely fall in love with it. We have it in there at the full clinical dose. So there are currently 15 preclinical and clinical studies on 500 milligrams of this ferment, this whole yeast ferment. It's working nutrigenomically to support that activation of immune cells. So remember, I said a lot of immune cells are just sitting there pretty quietly, and they need something to kind of come along and wake them up. And so when some of the compounds in this whole yeast ferment become metabolized, they actually bind to a receptor and activate these immune cells to come to this kind of first heightened state. I like to have the analogy that there's almost like two locks on the outside of our immune cells. And this notion of priming is like unlocking that first lock so you can more quickly unlock the potential of that immune cell. But it's not just working in that priming mechanism. This whole yeast ferment is actually classified as a postbiotic. So what they're doing is putting yeast on the food that they're normally eating, and the yeast are making all of these just wonderful metabolites that have so many great benefits to our overall immune health. So things like proteins, polyphenols or phytonutrients, we can call them, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, polysaccharides, another fancy scientific word for complex carbohydrates. It has beta glucans, which are working in that priming mechanism, and it's also rich in fiber as well. So just a ton of great benefits from this ingredient, and just am so happy that we're able to put it in at this full clinical dose. So there you have it. That's your 5 to thrive: vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and this fermented yeast extract. And what I do want to encourage everyone to do is please, let's stay compliant. So some of the resources you're going to see tomorrow that are going to be made available is that same compliance, the paperwork that they've put up there about what you can and can't say about each product. Okay, so please stay compliant. The FTC is really cracking down on this space. So let's all do our part to help keep things as compliant as possible. But look, these are the actual claims that we can make. Okay, so let's start with the second one: boost our body's response to stresses, right? So our immune system is playing so many different roles. It can help make us more resilient, supports everyday health and well-being, supports respiratory and sinus health, and then supports a balanced gut microbiome. So not only is it helping with that barrier function, but it's also just supporting a healthy gut. And then just really right to the point, it can improve our immune response. So just wonderful compliant claims that we can make. Stay true to this list, and please stay away from anything COVID or virus related. You'll get us all in trouble. And quite frankly, I love my job. So let's all do our part just a little bit. So with that, that's just a little bit of the science of our immune system. And with that, I'll hand it back over to you two wonderful human beings.
Wow.
Seriously.
Can you guys all give Dr. Brian Dixon some love in the comment section? Please,
Yes.
please, because this is really just, first of all, you're hearing about it first here, right? So that's a really cool thing. But now you know what this product does, how important the 3 different parts of your immune system are, and that you can be proactive instead of proactive instead of reactive is what I wanted to say, which is so important. That's how we live our lives. And that's what LifeVantage is all about. So Dr. Brian, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And we know he's got a hop too.
Yes, thank you always for being so gracious with your time. True professional. We are so blessed at LifeVantage to have somebody of your caliber and your background and your passion. What I love most about you is, yes, your brain is incredible, but your passion behind what you do and why you do what you do was what landed you here at LifeVantage, because you could have gone anywhere. And we are so blessed that you chose here and we're incredibly honored to have your stamp all over what we do. You're incredible, my friend. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation and blessing all of us with your time.
Yay.
Absolutely my pleasure. God bless. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Thank you. All right. We still have some announcements to share with all the rest of you to make sure that you know what is coming here. So let's go ahead and move in here. So the timeline for the release of Daily Wellness tomorrow night. Okay. Tomorrow night, that is Tuesday, February 23rd, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, is going to be the official LifeVantage announcement of this product. So you learned all about it the day before. They're actually going to be announcing it. That is going to be live on Facebook on the LifeVantage public page, not the independent distributor page, on the LifeVantage public page. So you can be sharing that into other groups and with people that you want to see this information. Now, distributor purchases is what's going to be available first, okay? This is not going to be launched to everyone right off the bat. Even though we know that there's people on here that are looking to be customers or are customers, we wanted you to be educated on this and get excited, because what this means is that the person that's sharing this with you is going to be able to have their product story and experience to be able to let you know beforehand how amazing it is, instead of you just all going into it blind, right? So this is a really great opportunity there. So distributors, you're going to be able to start purchasing product on Wednesday morning, February 24th at 9 a.m. Mountain time. That's when it's going to go live. And the reason why we're giving you the specific time is you've got to be ready to place your orders. There are a limited amount of product to be sold on Wednesday. There's 5,000 units that will be available for the first 24 hours. There will be a limit of 2 per distributor order. Okay, so you can purchase 2 within the first 24 hours in an order. Now, after that, whatever product is left is going to be open for anyone to get. So I would just say, get in there quick, because it's not going to last long. Okay, get in there quick. Minutes. Yeah, seriously. And then the full product launch to everyone is going to be at Elite Academy, March 13th. Saturday, March 13th is when the full Daily Wellness launch is going to happen. So that's the timeline for Daily Wellness. Now, as Dr. Brian mentioned, there are phenomenal assets that the company is creating for us, including videos, the social media shareables, the product information page, Q&A, all kinds of stuff. What to say. I mean, all kinds of great stuff. This is going to be an amazing, amazing launch. All right, guys. So be prepared for that. Those things are going to be released tomorrow with the announcement. But again, distributors can purchase on Wednesday, and then customers can start ordering on March 13th. Now, customers, if you have had any desire whatsoever to become distributors, this would be a really great opportunity for you to make that jump and be able to purchase with the rest of us on Wednesday, so that you can get your daily wellness happening.
Yeah, and for distributors, it's going to be a great opportunity for about 17 days for you to start developing your own product story, sharing that information publicly. So getting people excited, getting them anticipatory for the actual release on Elite Academy on March 13th. So you're generating curiosity, you're generating interest, you're talking about your benefits, you're talking about your experience. It's going to be a great thing for you to experience it before it goes live and be able to have your own personal product story developing every single day.
All right, so now we have a few additional announcements that we want to make sure that we cover, because it is the last week of the month of February. Can you believe that? So now is like, you've got to be activated. You should be working every single day, but this last week especially is important. Make sure that you and your team all have the orders that need to be in place to be commissionable, so you receive your paychecks, and make sure that your customers are taken care of, that they have received their orders and they've all gone through, because we don't want people to go without these amazing, life-altering, changing products, right? So make sure that you're continuing to use the system, ITT. If there's time, you should be ITT. Absolutely. Right? Do it. And take advantage of the promotions that we have going on. Remember, Omega Plus is free with the Tri-Synergizer through the end of the month. And with the purchase of Protandem and RF1, you can get 50% off of a bottle of Omega Plus. The 5 for 500 pool, the bonus pool.
Get a share.
5 new accounts that equal at least 500 in volume, with a minimum of 40 per order, gets you a share of that pool. So extra cash. Earn all those points for the Wanderlust incentive trip, and take advantage of this daily wellness launch. Make sure you and all of your team members get their purchases in on Wednesday.
And every Tuesday night Flip the Business Switch promotion has been going on for since March, and it's unbelievable. So proven professionals and talking about people that are actually in the trenches every day having success, so you can get the truth from them. You can have the confidence that they're actually sharing their own story, and get your prospects tuned in and get you tuned in to get excited about what we have here. Here are people that are doing it every single day to help motivate you to keep doing it and help you bring your prospects into the fold of reality, what's happening, and get them excited to join your team.
And this will be happening after the live announcement for Daily Wellness tomorrow night. And the people sharing their stories tomorrow, I got to tell you, you're going to love to hear them.
Yes, you are.
They're going to move you. And then we have every single Saturday, we provide training from the top leadership and corporate into the field to help you be successful in your businesses. We call it Success Mastery. This coming week is the 4th Saturday, so it's going to be focused on mindset and how to close the month strong. It'll be actually, you'll have that day and Sunday for the last days of the month, but make sure that you are scheduling this success training into your business.
Yes, and every Saturday, Marcy and I do a live Zoom prospect for your prospects, for your people, for your distributors. It is the LifeVantage Opportunity Overview every Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Marcy and I go live for 30 minutes, sharing all about this amazing opportunity we call LifeVantage. So invite your prospects, tune in every Saturday.
Yep, you are all welcome. And then here we are, guys. This is the last slide of the deck, but not the least important, because Elite Academy is coming up fast. And so is the date that the price will go up. Okay, so $79 for your registration through the end of February, and then it goes up to $89. You're going to be earning a point for the incentive trip. You're going to be an entry into the weekly drawing, which this week the drawing is going to be for an iPad, and also another drawing for noise canceling AirPod Pros. Okay, guys. So make sure that you get yourself. And by the way, I have to tell you, just a little secret. Not only are we going to be launching Daily Wellness at Elite Academy in March, but the announcements and the opportunity that you're going to have coming out of that event, you do not want to miss. So you know that you're going to go. And so what does waiting do?
It costs you more money.
Yeah.
And so stunts the growth of your business.
So why would you want to wait? Right? So go and get yourselves registered for Elite Academy as soon as we're done with this call. Remember, go and find us on YouTube, Team Freedom Reigns. That's where this call will be uploaded as soon as just a few minutes after we're done tonight. All right. So thank you guys all so very much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you, Dr. Dondi and Marcy Nettles, and have a great night.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You're awesome.
And thanks again to Dr. Brian Dixon.
Yes.